Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers best bet or daily package for only $2.
Welcome to Wager Talk Today for Tuesday, August 23rd. I am Marco D'Angelo, sitting in for the Prez one last time. And, of course, he is Teddy Covers. We've got a big Tuesday show for you guys today. Star-studded lineup. We're going to kick it off with Tony Mejia. He's coming in off the injured list to join us today. He is going to break down the Cincinnati-Philadelphia baseball game today, along with the Chicago White Sox Baltimore Orioles game. From Sports Memo, we've got Eric Pauly. He is going to take a look at the Subway Series tonight between the Mets and the Yankees, and he's got a season win total for us. And I hear I might have to referee a fight on this one. We'll see when we get to that game. And our final guest today, none other than Dave Sharapan. You've got a couple Pittsburghers here, so we might be throwing out some Yinzers today on the show, so get ready for that. But before we start today's show, Teddy, what did we learn from Monday?
Oh, I'm ice cold right now, dude. I mean, I had a really good 6-month run from basically the second week of February. Was at 60% for a long while, up over 180% return on investment. You know, I'm still number one at WagerTalk and SportsMemo in net units of profit since the second week of February. But this last week, I can't do anything right, Marco. Bad beats, tough beats, wrong sides, can't win a coin flip, though. And then yesterday, so I got 3 games on my short list yesterday. And maybe you should play all 3. I don't do that a lot in baseball, and I'm sure as hell not putting a bunch of plays out off a party weekend when I'm ice cold. That's dumb, in my opinion. So we talked about it a little bit on yesterday's show. I thought the Rangers were live dogs, but when you're ice cold, you're not picking a $2 dog. That play is going to make a profit if it hits 40% of the time. I don't need a 40% of the time play for the client. So I didn't pick the big dog, which left me with a pair of totals. I had Angels, Rangers under 7, and Cincy, Philly over 8.5. Should have played them both, graded out fairly equally, but I picked one. And of course, I picked the wrong one, especially on a night that went 8-0 to the under. So let's get the voodoo going, Marco. I've had enough. I know there's going to be skids. It's inevitable. But I sure as hell want this one over today. And I'm telling you, Marco, win or not today, I'm going to have to ask for Prez back. You have not brought me luck. What'd you learn?
Oh, Teddy, that hurts. But I am undefeated in the vice presidential address since we've been here. I'm just putting that out there, okay? All right, let's bring in our first guest for today. And guys, it is Tuesday, and every week at Wager Talk, we pick a capper for a $2 Tuesday play. Well, it happens to be our first guest. Tony Mejia is on today. He's got a big 5% play. He's going to tell us about that. But before he gets to promote himself, we're going to put him to work. And let's get to that first game you got today, Tony. You have a play in the Cincinnati-Philadelphia game. What are we going with?
Hello, gentlemen. Good to see you. It was a pleasure to get to partake in our festivities over the weekend. It was a fantastic time. Tonight, we're going to ride 2 games. One is my free play, and it's already up. You can read the write-up at wt.buzz/TM on the White Sox game. And then the other one is the one you referenced that I'm going to break down, and I like the first 5 under with Rangers Suarez dealing against Nick Lodolo in a battle of lefties. And I'm a little worried, I guess, when Teddy's going to ask me what concerns me. It's Lodolo's road ERA and basic road woes because he's such a young pitcher. But I'm hoping that he gets through that first inning because his stuff is rock solid. And Ranger Suarez has been ridiculous since coming off the IL. I mean, just unhittable, basically. So I think Suarez just saw the Reds on the 17th. Last Wednesday, went 7 innings, shutout ball, gave up just 3 hits. So I think he'll once again get the better of the Cincy lineup, and we will ride the first 5 under at under 4.
So I guess my follow-up here is going to be about the 2 lineups because, like I said at the top, I had a loser last night with the over between Philadelphia and Cincinnati. And part of my thought process for playing that over was, man, these lineups are in good current form. Cincy's been hitting the ball lately. What did they score? 20 runs their last 3 ball games. Philly's been hitting the ball fairly well of late. They've scored 17 in their last 3. So we're talking about a pair of lineups that are in fairly good, at least until last night, Cincy's was, a pair of lineups that are in fairly current form, good current form. Are you worried at all that these two teams are hitting the baseball well enough to make this first 5 under a little bit of a concern?
I mean, of course, absolutely, but it was a 1-0 duel the last time these pitchers faced off against each other. So, so long as they can continue that form, I mean, Lodolo is one of those pitchers that he can put a couple guys on and strike his way out of it. And what we've seen from Suarez is just consistency. So hopefully they stay hot, and we keep the crooked numbers off of the scoreboard at least for the first 5 innings, and we'll ride the under there. That is a play that I really like. Obviously not my 5% play because that's my best play for the day, but I wouldn't mind this riding in on this one as a client play.
Tony, full disclosure for our viewers, Tony is playing hurt today. We had a basketball pickup game in Vegas over the weekend with the meet and greet, and man, you were banging inside, and you got a couple sore hammies right now, and you're a big guy, and I don't mean big wide. You're big tall, and that couldn't have been fun on the plane riding home yesterday.
Here's my point of view from it, because the time change got me a couple of times. I put in bets late. I didn't get stuff in that I wanted to, so the time change monster got me. Time change monster got me on basketball because I thought it was at noon and it was at 11 local. So I'm already running late. I got there and Sharapan was kind of warming me up a little bit, rebounding for me, but I didn't stretch. I got out there with our next guest, pretty good athlete, Eric Pauly. He was running around there. I think I blocked somebody's shot. I had a couple of blocked shots. I was kind of feeling my oats. I missed my first miss, and then I ran out of bounds, and that's got to be the fastest I've moved in 20 years. And immediately both went. Well, I mean, they just went. It felt like, I've torn my Achilles before, and it was very similar, even though that is excruciating. This was like somebody took 2 fists and balled up and punched me right in both hammies. And so, yeah, I can barely move. I squeal like, every few hours. So it's not pleasant. But we will ride out our 5% play tonight and spend a lot of time in bed.
So when you think about the NBA players, when they strain a ham, they're in a nice charter flight, getting a massage on. You're sitting there. Huh? Flying commercial with any kind of pain from Vegas. When you're flying back east, it's a long flight, and you get off the flight, you don't feel good. I give you kudos, Tony, for coming to the table today, man. Easy day to call in. We appreciate you playing through the pain and giving us your spot-on analysis.
Tony, let's take a look at the Chicago White Sox and Baltimore game. This is a key game. Could have implications as far as wild card goes and so forth. How are you looking at this one?
Yeah, hopefully this is a Dylan Cease bounce back spot, because he gave up more runs last time out than he had in his previous 11 starts. And, even that 11 starts ago, he gave up 6 runs, but none of them were earned. So he has been lights out. His ERA is just over 2. And again, he's facing the Orioles in like you said, a key game as far as the AL wildcard picture is concerned. Austin Voth has looked good. So if anybody wants to ride Voth and the first 5 under here, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But I just think that even on the road, especially with what Camden Yards is like now, is more of a pitcher's ballpark than it has been, since it came into fruition. I think Cease as a minus 130 road favorite, there's good value there. So again, you can read that right up at wt.buzz/TM.
So I want to ask you, I mean, if you're playing the White Sox, you're losing money. You're playing the Orioles, you're winning money. Chicago's not hitting again. They've lost 4 to 5. They're in an awkward travel spot, having played in Cleveland and then in Kansas City and then now here in Baltimore. And all the Orioles just keep winning. It's one of the games. I understand how good Cease has been. All right. But given the divergent nature of these two teams and where their arrows are pointed, are the White Sox really a team you want to lay a price with?
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely tied to Cease because you don't have Tim Anderson, you don't have Luis Robert, you don't have what Grandal went out most recently, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're definitely playing with backups in a lot of key spots. But again, just the fact that if all things were normal in terms of the White Sox having their personnel out there, I would think that Chicago would be a minus 150, 155 in this spot against Voth, who's really unproven at this point, even though, like I said, he has pitched well over the last month or two to give the O's rotation a boost. I went on before the All-Star break. I said the Orioles can't continue this because I can't trust their pitching, and eventually it's going to come back to haunt them, and that has not been the case. So I've been proven wrong there. But we will see. There's still a month and a half to go, and obviously September is going to make or break them.
Tony, good luck tonight. I want to tell our viewers, you have a big 5% play. You have been dynamite on these this year in Major League Baseball, 11-5 on the season with your 5% plays. Normally $35. You are the $2 Tuesday capper. They can pick it up for just $2. Head over to WagerTalk right now. Grab Tony's $2 5% play and get that masseuse in there, get those hamstrings, get the massage on there, get it working, and let's bring this game home tonight. Remember, when you win it, don't jump up and start celebrating. You'll just re-injure everything. Just relax. Play it cool.
There'll be a quiet fist pump. That's it.
All right. Hey, we are going to step out for a quick break, but when we come back, you know what time it is. It's Teddy's Big Game Breakdown. That's next. Wager Talk Today.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers best bet or daily package for only $2.
It is time for today's Big Game Breakdown. Let's talk about the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. Right now, look at the Wager Talk live odds screen. Let's call it Toronto minus 135. Total 9.5 on this game. There is a little bit of variance on the side. If you shop around, you can find as low as minus 130 on the Blue Jays. There's also minus 140s out there if you don't feel like shopping around at all and want to lay a higher price with the favorite. Look, this Boston team found a little bit of energy. They found some life against the slumping Yankees. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before. They won 2 out of 3. They carried that momentum into Pittsburgh, won the first 2 in that series, and then they no-showed game 3 of the series. They lost the series to the Orioles. They're going to lose this series too. This is a team with expectations that's going nowhere to bet against team in August. All right. Then you're going to hear the whining when it comes to playing Baltimore at the Little League Classic in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Quote, Alex Cora, it's not an easy day travel-wise and all that, and of course, after losing, they're now 6 games behind in the AL wildcard race. I'm not expecting a surge from the Boston Red Sox moving forward. And obviously, with Winkowski on the hill today, he's been dicey at best. Coming off a rough outing, I'm not convinced he's going to shut down Toronto this evening. Blue Jays faced the abyss. Look, they were 45-42 before the All-Star break. Everything was falling apart. They fired Charlie Montoyo. John Schneider took over. All of a sudden, they're winning again. I love the spot for Toronto. They took 3 out of 4 from the Yankees, but lost the finale. Then they had a day off. This is a focus spot. All right. I haven't even mentioned the starting pitchers much. We know Wisconsin's only got 1 good start last 5. Jays are 4-0 in Stripling's last 4, including 72 pitches of 6 perfect innings last time. He wasn't taxed to the max. This is a spot where I think Toronto takes care of business once again. The Red Sox going the wrong way. The Blue Jays, the arrows pointed up. Road chalk worth laying. Give me the Blue Jays minus the 135. And there's your big game break. Back to you, Mr. Marco.
Good stuff, Teddy. I got to agree with you on that one. And we're going to bring in our next guest, and it is Eric Pauly. And you know, we have $2 Tuesday at WagerTalk. Well, over at Sports Memo, we've got a Tuesday promotion as well. You can pick up 3 cappers, best bets, 3 of them for $5. And we've got 3 guys, and Eric Pauly heads it off today as he's got a 5-star in Major League Baseball tonight. It is his game of the week. We've got Kevin Thomas, got a 5-star in the NFL for Thursday, and Ross Benjamin has a 5-star preseason game. You can get all 3 of those plays right now for just $5 over at Sports Memo. And speaking of Sports Memo, here he is, Eric Pauly. Good to finally get to meet you this weekend here in Vegas. You fared a little better at the basketball outing than our first guest, Tony Mejia. So you got that up on him. You can rub that in a little bit. And you've got a big play tonight in baseball. But speaking of baseball, let's talk about that Subway Series. Yankees-Mets. How are you seeing that one tonight?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say it really was an absolute pleasure meeting both of you, Teddy and Marco, and the rest of the Wager Talk family this weekend. The meet and greet event was great, and it was just bittersweet to, spend such quality time with the rest of the handicappers and the production team and everybody. And then, seeing like, oh, wow, when's the next time I'm going to really be seeing these guys? But it's sweet because I know that now being a newer capper to the Sports Memo Wager Talk family, that it's just the first of many of these events. So I'm very excited for the future at this company and working with you guys moving forward. But looking at this Subway Series game for tonight, I was all over the Yankees last night. I actually took a red eye home last night, so I was sitting in the sportsbook last night. I actually hit an alternate run line for the Yankees, -1.5 at +300 last night, along with the Yankees closing out a parlay for me on the regular run line, +1.5 last night, and that was parlayed with the Royals +1.5. But looking at today's matchup, I think the market has over-adjusted way too much for the Yankees after that win last night. And simply put, we're taking the better of the 2 New York teams tonight, and we're riding with the Mets money line tonight. Looking at this matchup, like I just mentioned, the Mets, in my opinion, are certainly the better of the 2 teams. They have the better overall roster. They have more depth, the better lineup, and the better pitching staff. And looking at this pitching matchup for tonight, Walker is certainly the better pitcher between him and Frankie Montas. Walker left his last start early with a little bit of an injury, but since he is going today, it is obvious that it's not hindering him too much. And on the season so far, he is 10-3 with a 3.36 ERA, a 1.20 WHIP, and a 3.67 fielding independent of pitching. He actually pitched against the Yankees in the first edition of the Series on 7/26, but he allowed 3 runs on 7 hits through 6 innings, which was a really great start for Walker. And like I mentioned, he's been really good this season. But where he's actually shined as well has been on the road. He has a 3.27 ERA on the road, a 3.41 fielding independent of pitching, a 1.22 WHIP, and actually a 20.7 strikeout percentage when pitching on the road. So I expect Walker to come out. And the Yankees, as we know, have been one of the worst teams in baseball since the All-Star break and since the trade deadline. One of those key acquisitions they made was Frankie Montas from the Oakland Athletics. And in his first 3 starts for the New York Yankees, he has not looked good, despite him being good for the Athletics this season. He has a 3.87 ERA, a 1.21 WHIP, and a 3.62 fielding independent of pitching. But in his 3 starts for the Yankees in pinstripes this season, he's allowed 14 runs on 18 hits in just 14 innings of work. And in his splits for the season, he was much better pitching in Oakland than he was on the road. But obviously now his home stadium is now Yankee Stadium. And the big difference between Yankee Stadium and the Oakland Coliseum is he was literally pitching in front of maybe at max 10,000 fans. And now he's facing, his home is the concrete jungle in the Bronx, one of the toughest ballparks to pitch in because the fans are so rowdy and that ballpark is packed to the max all the time. I don't think Montas has what it takes to really fill those shoes that you need to have and have that gall to be a starting pitcher for the New York Yankees. I'm going with, again, the better team as an underdog tonight because I think the market over-adjusted. I'm going with the Mets on the money line.
So, Eric, me and you are going to have fun arguing today, and I look forward to that very much. But first, I want to give you kudos, all the kudos in the world. All right, anyone that's going to take a red eye home, you got off the plane and got on air, I give you all the credit in the world, dude. And you're speaking coherently and rationally, which, again, when I'm taking the red eye, I don't sleep I don't take them anymore because I don't sleep. and you get off the plane and I'm just shell-shocked and a wreck the next day. So the fact that you're coherent right now and making legit arguments for a wrong side is fine. But so doesn't this line this line stinks to high heaven, okay? I mean, the fact that Montas is favored and the Yankees have been slumping, and this isn't sharp, but this isn't recreational money that's keeping the Yankees at chalk. This is all sharp money. Walker last time out had back spasms, got pulled after two. 2 starts before that, he only lasted a single inning. So 2 of his last 3 starts have been disastrous. All right. Meanwhile, Montas, I know he struggled since he got to the Yankees, but we're not talking about a guy that hasn't pitched in big games or in front of big crowds. We're talking about a guy who had ace-level potential who struggled early on. You really think Montas is just done and the Yankees just traded for a guy who's going to be garbage every single time he's out there? Or do you think maybe this guy's got a good start in him? And maybe it comes against a Mets team that has played so good for so long, inevitably there's going to be a correction, just like the correction we've seen from the Yankees over the last couple of weeks. Go.
Yeah, so I think that's an absolutely great point. And by no means do I think Frankie Montas is a bad pitcher or he doesn't have the ability to get back to, like you mentioned, that ace form that he definitely has shown throughout his career. But I think it's more so my infatuation with the Mets, not only in this matchup, but realistically, I have high hopes for them going into October and then some, is due to the fact that their lineup is a little bit more recession-proof than the Yankees lineup. We know that the Yankees love hitting their home runs. They have the jokes about the Little League ballpark, and that's how they score a majority of their runs is by the long ball. But the Mets are a team that will single and W to death. They don't strike out. They get on base. And I think that formula is certainly more sustainable for a stretch run. Like you mentioned, I don't think Montas is bad. And I think he can certainly correct himself. But I think that the brand of baseball the Mets are playing, I'm sure the Yankees lineup has some confidence after getting to Scherzer last night, and they needed that confidence boost big time, as any baseball fan knows, as Yankee fans, of course, know. But looking at this matchup, I know Walker has had a little bit of trouble in the last 2 starts, a little bit of injury history, but overall, I am more impressed with his body of work this year. And just given the pricing, I, again, am taking, in my opinion, the better pitcher and the better overall team at plus money. It's hard to pass up.
All right, guys, I'm just going to throw a name out there for you guys to Google. A.J. Burnett. Look at his stats prior to being acquired by the Yankees and look at his stats whenever he left the Yankees. Some guys just cannot pitch in New York. But let's go to the next one. Speaking of New York, we've got a season win total involving the New York Giants. And I didn't find out until pregame production here when we were going on air. Let's get ready to rumble because our 2 boys are going to go at it in this one. Eric, tell us what you got here on this season win total.
Yeah, of course. So a couple of weeks ago, I put out my 2022 NFL win season report. It's basically a thesis where I broke down each and every NFL team and whether or not I believe they were overvalued, undervalued, or efficiently valued by the betting market. And one of the plays that I found to have one of the biggest edges and found that is one of the more overvalued teams, in my opinion, in relation to the betting market is the New York Giants under 7 wins. I actually have this as a 4% play in a package of my 5 best season win total bets for the season. And looking at the Giants team and why I believe under 7 wins, I think fans and just football and analysts like need to understand that the Giants are one of the worst run organizations in the sport right now. I know they've won their 2 Super Bowls early in the 2000s. Over the last 5 years, the New York Football Giants have the worst winning percentage in the NFL. And in the last decade, the last 10 years, they have the 4th worst winning percentage in the NFL. Of course, after a bad 4-13 season, the Giants decided to clear house. They got rid of their GM, Dave Gettleman. They got rid of Joe Judge, and they hired Brian Daboll, a Bill Belichick disciple who spent 11 years learning under him, Sean McDermott, some other big names, and helped bring that Buffalo offense. He hired Mike Kafka, the Kansas City Chiefs' old quarterback coach, of course, worked with Patrick Mahomes as his offensive coordinator. And he hired Don Wink Martindale from the Ravens, who is a great hiring, and I will get to him in a little bit. But something that really sticks out to me whenever I evaluate a new coaching staff is I think about what they did with filling out their staff, and the fact that Daboll did not hire another head coach with another coordinator with head coaching experience is a little bit of a red flag to me because he is, of course, a rookie, first-time head coach, and having that experience in the locker room would certainly help. I know Wink Martindale has the credentials, but he hasn't really had that gig to be that first that actual head coach. And the reason why I'm so bearish on the Giants this year is they have had the worst offense in the NFL last year, bar none. I mean, we're talking they were last in offensive DVOA, last in points per game, last in total yards per game, last in giveaways per game, and last in red zone percentage per game last season. And what did they do this offseason? Not much. They drafted Evan Neal, tackle of Alabama, who the early reports from training camp is that he is maybe going to be that Andrew Thomas mold, where year one might be a little rocky, but they like his future outlook. They lost two of their starting guards, starting guard and tackle, who weren't that great. But did they go out and replace them with good talent? They did not. They actually shopped on the bargain rack and signed a couple of guards off the street. Their offensive skill positions are all injury-prone players that have not put together legitimate seasons in a long time. I like their rookie third-round pick, Wan'Dale Robinson, but you're going to be asking a lot from that guy to step up. So my real woes on them on offense is that they did not do anything to improve upon literally being the worst offense in the league. Defensively, Wink Martindale will certainly add an element to this team. He's one of the better minds and one of the best hires of this offseason. I have to give credit where it's due, of course. But even last year, Wink was dealing with a really, really weak secondary. And normally it's the way that he coaches defense is a heavy blitz, confusing coverages, and blitzing from different spots. But that helps when you have talent. Last year, when the Ravens were injured all over, they were the worst passing defense in the league, in a passing league. And I don't think the Giants have the secondary to really be much better than that, though their defensive line is very stout. I love Thibodeau. I'm happy he's healthy, and he should add an element to their game. Defense will be middle of the pack, but that's not enough to save them. When looking at their schedule, because they went 1-5 in divisional games last year, could have easily been 2-4 with a potential missed call week 2 against the formerly known football team, the Commanders, on Thursday Night Football. But looking at the Giants' schedule, I know a point as to why people like their over is because of their strength, is their weakness of the schedule they're facing. And looking at the teams that they have the best chance of beating, look at the Panthers, the Bears, Jaguars, Seahawks, Texans, and Lions. I actually only have the Giants rated higher than the Bears and the Seahawks and the Texans, blowing those three teams. And then they would have to steal games against the Colts, Titans, Packers, Ravens, or Vikings to go over this total, assuming even 2 to 3 wins in this division for a push, meaning they'd have to, again, beat one of those much better teams or at least take care of business against teams that they're arguably better against. So considering that they did not improve on offense, their defense is more or less the same, and I don't have great faith in Dable as a primary head coach in his first year, seeing a 4-win leap from last season with not doing all that much this offseason. I think a hard 6 wins for the New York Giants, under 7. I have a 4% play on them.
So, Eric, I'm not going to disagree with anything that you said. Not a word. However, I think what you said made a great case for the over. All right. You talked about how bad they've been the last 5 years. There's no betting marketplace support for the Giants. All right. This has been the worst point spread team in football over the last 5 years. They haven't cashed an over any season wins in the last 5 years. So it's not like the Giants have a giant betting bandwagon. We're not asking the Giants to make the playoffs. We're not even asking them to finish 500. They go 8-9. They're mediocre. And we cash our ticket. They have to be bad. They have to go 6-11 for you to win that bet. They have to be a bad football team, not a mediocre football team. You talk about the strength of schedule and all the issues last year. Based on my numbers, based on the power ratings of their opponents, the game the week was played, the Giants faced the single toughest schedule in the NFL in 2021. This year, whatever metric you want to use, it's one of the 5 easiest schedules. I don't care if you want to use this year's win totals, you want to use based on last year's win. You talked about all of those winnable games. They got the Seahawks and the Lions and the Bears, and 2 against the Commanders, and on down the line. There's a lot of winnable games on their schedule without any big upsets, without 1 week where they, and you know how it is in the NFL is. The Giants are going to pull off 1 or 2 big upsets this year. You talk about how they didn't do anything in the offseason personnel-wise. Of course they didn't, because they made a ton of moves the last 3 years, and everybody got hurt last year. And now they've got a receiving core that looks on paper to be really good. They've got an offensive line. You didn't like their pickups in the offensive line. I love their pickups in the offensive line. All right. The offensive line on paper to me, 1,000 times better than it was last year. So you're going to be healthier. You're going to face a much easier schedule. You have the talent already in place. You already talked about all the things you like about the defense. And all they have to do is be mediocre. 8-9 gets us there. What do you think? Respond.
Yeah, of course. So I think you're making some fantastic points. I mean, I'm always in the apartment to agree to disagree, but obviously I'm willing to debate my side because this is a 4% play that I have on the Giants under. My issue predominantly with the New York Football Giants is that when you're looking at not only professional NFL teams, but every single professional sport league that there is, and even any company that is run, you have to look at the tippy top of the organization because that is where the culture comes from. I think how poorly John Mara has run the New York Football Giants over the last decade is becoming very underrated because a lot of the fans that I know that I deal with, and not necessarily the betting market, but they are put still so much stock into those two rings that they're kind of still have the blinders on and aren't really realizing what's actually in front of them. So like you mentioned, the schedule is definitely a little bit easier in that they have some beatable games. But again, going to my rankings, I have the Panthers as one of the unsung better teams in the league. I actually have the Jaguars as being very solid this year. I do like the Lions, and I actually do not hate the Texans. So I see what you're saying. And then going to the Commanders, I mean, I think the Commanders are a better football team on paper than the New York Giants. I know that the Giants give the Commanders fits every time they play. And it's just going to like the coaching staff. Like they needed to make a big splash on, again, not only the personnel, but also the personnel on the field, but the personnel in the back office. And Dable, as a rookie head coach coming in, I don't think he's going to have a bad career as an NFL head coach, but I do not think he was the best candidate available. I think they saw their terrible offensive statistics last year and said, hey, this guy worked with Josh Allen, and look at how the Bills offense went, and decide that this is the direction they wanted to go into. But in reality, Josh Allen is a special quarterback, and their new offensive coordinator, because they promoted internally from their old quarterbacks coach, the Buffalo Bills, he's the one who had Josh Allen's ear for most of the time. I know Allen said he thinks that Dable is a really great leader of men, so maybe I am wrong in that category. He can really build this team and get them excited. I just think that winning 4 more games this upcoming season with, in my opinion, again, I don't love the moves they made in the offensive line. I mean, John Feliciano, decent player. Who else? Then Mark
Eric, I'm gonna have to cut you off here. We're up against a break here. We got to bring in my fellow Pittsburgh guy, and I wanted to have time to promote your play today over at Sports Memo. You are part of the 3 best bets for $5, and again, you can pick up Eric Pauly's 5-star tonight in Major League Baseball. You can get Kevin Thomas's 5-star Thursday night preseason game, and you can get a big 5% play over from Ross Benjamin in the NFL preseason action week 3. Check that out. Eric, great stuff. We'll see which one of you two wears the crown for the New York Giant win total, but it was a pleasure meeting you this weekend. And now I've got to bring in a fellow Pittsburgher, Dave Sharapan. You can see this guy everywhere. I joke every time I see him, I go, you're like a fly at a picnic. You know, you're everywhere. Dave, how you doing today? As always, nice lid, matching shirt. You know, you're styling all the time, my man. South side. That's south side of Chicago. How about the south side of Pittsburgh?
Oh, man, you went deep with that one. That's a deep cut right there, Marco. I like what you're doing. How am I feeling? Not going to lie, I'm tired, Marco, because all these people came and hung out with us, and they stay up all night. There's a lot of debauchery. I went to the basketball game. I saw EP doing his thing, playing basketball. I'm exhausted, Marco. That's what I am. But we're here. No drama Tuesday, all right? I was very pleasant. This is a pleasant surprise. They don't tell me who's doing the show. I knew Prez wasn't. They went and got the A-team, Teddy. They got Marco to do the show with you. I mean, my morning's made. I'm just happy to be here.
So right. It's funny, Dave. Just real quick, Marco, because when I was 25, 30, what I'm doing is I'm talking about the fact that we got old and it happened like all of a sudden, you know, not all of a sudden, but in terms of like the late night stuff, dude, I managed a bar. Okay. I every night I was up till 6 a.m. for 15 years, you know,
Too much.
Literally.
Too much.
Now it's like 11 o'clock, dude. I can't. I mean, I physically can't do it anymore. When did that happen? I can't go out. We're old.
Listen, it's fine. It's you can still do it. Like, I'm good for one night. I'm good for 2 nights. I can still do it. I got young kids. I got to run. I'm still coaching. I'm still doing shows. But like 3 nights in a row. All right. Last night finally got me. Like I'm good. A 3-game series. I could never play golf 4 days in a row. All right. You can't do what these people did when they come here. They show up on Friday, hang out, they golf, they do the meet and greet, and they do the thing all night in the casino. Sunday, wake up. We're going to watch soccer. Carmine's up early at the crack of dawn watching soccer. They get to go home on a flight. We get to drive home in 15 minutes and get up and do it the next day. Marco got, Mrs. D to answer to. You got yours to Mrs. Covers to answer to, the kids and stuff. Believe me, nobody wants to answer to Mrs. Sharapan. Mrs. can sing. She's the boss. So it's hard, Teddy. It's hard to do this thing back to back to back.
Dave, let's go behind the counter here. Tell me what you're seeing, hearing money today, Major League Baseball. You got any hot plays?
White Sox and Orioles is basically a playoff game. I mean, the American League is really shaping up with I don't even know if the Yankees are going to win the division at this point, okay? Like, there's a lot of things in flux, in doubt. We got a great game today with the Cy Young favorite, Cease, on the mound. There's a short favorite at Baltimore, one of the hottest teams in baseball. That one, to me, is a dead under. It's a dead under at 7.5. I thought the number should be 7. I think it's coming, starting to eat that way. We got under -20, so get that one. Day game today, the hottest team in baseball is the Cardinals, and it's a gigantic number. It's Wainwright. It's against the Cubs. They're probably going to lay it if they haven't already. So be careful with that one. A lot of people may jump in on the run line. After that, you got Burns and Gonsolin in L.A. late night. The Brewers shut out the Dodgers yesterday as a huge underdog. Urias was, I think it closed -270. And the Brewers won 4-0. They come back with their best pitcher, and they're +133 again today. Watch Burns be a play. People maybe haven't gotten up because they were hanging with the WagerTalk crew all weekend, but they're going to play. They're going to play the Brewers.
We expect some sharp money on the Brewers. We expect some money on the under in the Orioles and Rays game. And, of course, we've already seen a little money on St. Louis against Chicago in MLB action for today. Dave, let's shift our focus to the upcoming football weekend. We have week 0 in college football. We have week 3 of the NFL preseason. You tell me which one you want to talk about first.
Well, we could talk about the college football first because that's what we should be talking about. The NFL preseason, week 3, there's only one thing to talk about. It's the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, I just try to continue to book those games. Thank goodness I'm not in a risk room because this one has everybody just completely baffled, puzzled. At what point do you make the number? So, yeah, do the college football first. What are you looking at? There's a lot of games, but are there a lot of quality games this week, Teddy?
Well, yeah, I mean, on the FBS card, we got 7 games for Saturday.
Oh.
There's all the the other games that are going to be in, but Northwestern, Nebraska, Charlotte, FAU, Nevada, New Mexico State, UConn, Utah State, North Texas, UTEP, Wyoming, Illinois, and Vanderbilt, Hawaii. Looks like Vandy just got hit. Yeah.
So Vandy's going to get played again. I believe I was told yesterday, I think by Morency. No, it was actually might have been Scott Wentz. I can't remember. On Sports Grid all the time and talk to so many people. They have the most new players on the team in any team in Division I, Hawaii. It's over 50 guys. I think it's 53 guys, something like that. So you're going to see steam come. It's already been coming on Vanderbilt, but that's the get-back game. That's the late night. First one's Northwestern, Nebraska. I'll throw it back to you guys. Have you found or heard one person say they want to touch Northwestern? I mean, this is really getting out of control. It's up to 13. I haven't found one person. The resistance, the buy-in point for the bad guys is going to be 14. But, I mean, at what point are we going to get there? Because we're going to get there. it's going to get to 14 at some book somewhere, because not one person, we talked to a lot of people, including our new guy, Antonio, watches every show. Shout out to him. ASU, we'll be watching them this season. But anybody on Northwestern? Anybody, seriously.
Not that
I
I've
haven't heard
seen.
anybody. Nope.
Not one.
Not a soul.
Not
No,
one.
I mean, because Northwestern is a team in a sense like Hawaii. They got brutalized in the transfer portal. Northwestern
Right.
lost a lot, and the reports I'm hearing, the NIL, what schools do the NIL hurt? Northwestern, because no, they don't have any money deals. That people are getting the fat contracts they're getting at other schools to go to play. So all the rumblings and rumors out of Northwestern is the program heading in the wrong direction. And yet, even with this 12.5, 13 on Nebraska, I haven't seen the money go to 14 yet. I haven't gotten the sense that it's going to 14 yet.
Yeah.
Nobody
How
trusts
about
Nebraska
Wyoming,
either.
Illinois? How about Wyoming, Illinois? There's another one. It's two mediocre teams, I think you say it the best. And, I'm wearing the Chicago stuff, and I know a lot of people watch the shows and stuff in the Midwest. Illinois is laying 10 points. Just think about that for a second and say it out loud again. Illinois is laying 10 points. Be very careful if you're going to the window at 1 o'clock Pacific on Saturday saying, give me Illinois, and you're laying 10 points. It's only Tuesday. We'll see a little movement closer to the weekend. The funny thing about this thing, Teddy, you know this. The lines have been stale. They're sitting there for, 2 months? I think we put these things up in May in a lot of books. End of May, beginning of June. A lot of people maybe showed their hand early, but they're waiting. They're just waiting. So you'll see the big moves come Thursday, Friday morning, and then the lines will really be set on Saturday. If you're looking at the dogs, I think you can wait in both the Northwestern and the Wyoming cases.
Good stuff, Dave. I appreciate you coming on, and we got 2/3
Marco,
of the
are you in
Pittsburgh
Prez's apartment? You look like you're in Prez's apartment.
I broke in. Apparently, if you've watched some videos from this weekend, Kelly, broke into John Murray's house over the weekend on the golf course.
Whoa.
I broke into Prez's.
Marco, no drama. Don't be starting talking about Kelly on Flex Tuesday like this. I saw our boy Chris. You got to put him up. You got to leave it like this. Come on, let's go.
There's no flex in here. The only thing I flex is a chicken wing to my my big mug. So, All right, Dave, I appreciate you stopping by. Teddy, do I get to do
anything
the
you want to
one
promote,
last?
Dave, before we let you go?
Oh, Dave, yes. Tell everybody. You can find Dave everywhere. Dave?
We're back. Thanks, Teddy. Yeah, right after this show, Monday through Friday, Bostonian versus the book. Me and Peralt do our thing from 10 to 12. It's live on YouTube at props.com, and you can find it, Bostonian versus the book. We'll be on MLB Network this week, I believe, Thursday and Friday, one or the other or both. Everyday Sports Grid and SiriusXM Radio, 159 from 4 to 7 Pacific. And then cash considerations, me and Dan Alexander, the producer of this show, and Carl Haskell, who you guys got to meet. Everybody was in town this weekend. We actually recorded a live show from Vegas. It's available now wherever you find podcasts and on the Cash Consideration Podcast YouTube channel. Thanks, boys. See you later.
Cheers.
Teddy, do I get to do my final vice presidential address?
Damn straight, brother. You got just enough time.
All right. Can we bring it home and keep it undefeated? All right, guys, this is my final day in the Prez's chair. Let's see if we can make it 3 for 3 with the vice presidential address. And we're going to take a look at the Milwaukee Dodger game. I know Dave talked about it briefly, but I am going to ride those LA Dodgers. The LA Dodgers have only lost back-to-back games once since July 1st. One time. Corbin Burnes goes for Milwaukee. He's their best pitcher, but he gets rocked by the Dodgers. 3 career starts against the Dodgers. He's got an ERA of 8.25 and a whip of 1.83. And talk about the Dodger pitcher. He is on a roll. His 10 home starts, how about 1.53 ERA, a whip of 0.78, and they're 18-4 in his 22 starts. I'm getting them at this cheap of a price. Yeah, we're going with the LA Dodgers. And just to sweeten it a little bit, the LA Dodgers, the last 2 seasons, they got shut out last night. When they've scored 2 runs or less, they're 29-4 in the next game. That's it. I'm taking the LA Dodgers tonight at a price minus 145. You don't get that price that often with a good team. I'll go ahead and take the Dodgers tonight, Major League Baseball. Teddy, take us home.
So, Marco, you are 2-0 with the plays on the vice presidential address. However, you are 3-0 to the over on the vice presidential address. Well done. A minute or less ain't happening for Marco D'Angelo. That's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same channel. I want to thank Eric Pauly, Tony Mejia, and Dave Sharapan, all of whom partied all weekend and still got up early to come hang out with us today. We appreciate it. Thank all of you out there in listener and viewer land for making Wager Talk Today a part of your day. Again, we'll do it tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Between now and then, you know what to do. Enjoy the games and good luck.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.